Morning arrived with a quiet stillness. Jungkook woke up, dressed, and headed to the dining room for breakfast. His parents were already seated at the table, the soft clinking of cutlery filling the silence. Without a word, he took his seat and began eating. It was his father who broke the stillness. Jungkook's dad, "Jungkook, I need to talk to you about something," he said, his tone carrying a certain weight. Jungkook lifted his eyes from his plate. "Jungkook, what is it?" Jungkook's dad, "After your classes end today, I want you to come to the restaurant," his father replied. "We will be meeting an old friend of mine." Jungkook's brows furrowed. "Jungkook, I'm not interested. You know I don't enjoy the sort of thing." His mother set her fork down gently. "Jungkook's mom, your father is making a request, Jungkook. You should respect it." Jungkook opened his mouth to argue, but one look at his father's expression silenced him. "Jungkook, fine," he muttered, returning to his food. When he was done, he rose from the table and left for college without another word. His parents exchanged a look once he was gone, one that spoke volumes. Jungkook's dad, "Do you really think this is the right way to handle things?" his father asked, doubt flickering in his voice. "I'm not sure it is." His mother sighed softly. Jungkook's mom, "And what do you suggest? Let him live like this forever. He has no life on his own." His father seemed ready to respond but thought better of it, keeping his thoughts to himself. The silence that followed was heavy, filled with unspoken concern. Wine was finally beginning to feel better. She sat quietly in the classroom, the lingering weakness from the past day slowly fading. Compared to yesterday, today felt almost normal. Across the room, Suzy and Somi were chatting away. Suzy seemed unusually cheerful, her laughter bubbling up again and again, her eyes shining with a happiness she could not quite hide. Soon the classroom door opened and Jungkook walked in. Instantly, every student stood to show respect. "Jungkook, you may all sit," he said in his usual calm voice. Everyone took their seats. Everyone expected Suzy's gaze. Her eyes remained fixed on Jungkook, almost as if she was afraid to blink and miss something. "Somi, stop staring like that," she whispered. "People will talk." "Suzy, just be quiet and let me look," Suzy muttered back, not turning her eyes away. Class went on as usual. Jungkook didn't seem to notice, or perhaps he simply ignored it, teaching in his composed, detached way. From her seat at the back, Wine watched everything quietly. She didn't say a word, only observing. Her thoughts kept to herself. Before long, the class ended. A few more lectures passed in the same rhythm until the day was finally over. Wine headed straight to the cafe. The warm scent of coffee greeted her as she stepped inside, but her attention was immediately drawn to Mrs. Kim, who was standing near the counter. The moment Mrs. Kim saw her, she spoke up. "Mrs. Kim, Wine, I have bought all your medicine. They are on the table." Wine's brows furrowed. "Wine, Mrs. Kim, I told you not to do that. I will pay you back for all of it." "Mrs. Kim, I already told you. There is no need," Mrs. Kim replied firmly. "The only thing that matters is that you and your baby stay healthy." Without giving Wine a chance to argue, Mrs. Kim turned and left. I stood there for a moment, wanting to say something, but the chance was gone. Slowly she placed her hand over her stomach. A cool, quiet wave of emotion swept through her, and for a few seconds she simply stood still, feeling it. Then, with a deep breath, she began her work. The class was finally over. Jungkook wasted no time and headed straight for the car, sliding into the driver's seat before making his way to the restaurant. Within minutes he arrived. The moment he stepped inside, his eyes landed on a familiar sight. His parents were already seated at the table, waiting for him. He walked over and joined them. Not longer after, another family entered, his father's close friend and his family. Jungkook's jaws tightened the moment he recognized them. It was none other than Suzy and her parents. Susie's smile seemed endless. Her face was practically glowing, happiness radiating from her as if the universe had handed her everything she had ever wanted. Mr. Min beamed as he greeted Jungkook's father. Mr. Min, after so many months, we finally met again. Your son has grown so much since I last saw him. I still remember when he was just a boy. Mr. Jun chuckled. Mr. Jun, and your daughter was grown beautifully as well. Mr. Min nodded. Mr. Min, yes, time flies faster than we realize. Mrs. Jun grasped her warmly. Mrs. Jun, please sit down. The food will be here soon. Two families settled in, chatting pleasantly. Jungkook, however, sat in silence, his patience already wearing thin. Suzy kept sneaking glances at him, sometimes shy, sometimes bold. Her cheeks flushed pink each time. Their eyes almost met. Jungkook, on the other hand, wished he could vanish from the table altogether. The waiter soon arrived, serving steaming dishes. Jungkook ate quietly, avoiding any unnecessary conversation. When the plates were nearly empty, Mr. Jeon finally cleared his thought, his tone shifting to something more serious. Mr. John, well, I think it's time we discuss why we called you here today. Jungkook's mother and I have been talking, and we would like to propose a marriage between your daughter and my son. If you agree, we would be honored to unite them. The words lit up Susie's parents' faces with joy. Susie herself froze, disbelief flashing in her eyes before being replaced with pure delight. She lowered her gaze, unable to stop the shy smile tugging at her lips. Jungkook, however, felt as if someone had just dropped ice water down his spine. Marriage. His parents had never mentioned this, not a word. How could they make such a decision without even asking him? He shot a sharp look at his mother and father. He was just about to speak when Susie's mother rose, clearly overjoyed. Mrs. Min, we can't believe you have read our minds. We have been thinking about this for so long, marrying Jungkook to Suzy, but we never got to the chance to bring it up. Mr. Min added warmly. Mr. Min, we're completely in favor. My daughter already likes your son. Just tell us the date and we will be ready. That was it. Jungkook could not stay quiet any longer. He stood abruptly, and his voice cold and firm. Jungkook, I'm sorry, but I'm not agreeing to this marriage. Please excuse me. Without waiting for a response, he turned his heel and walked out, leaving an awkward silence in his wake. His parents exchanged a glance before Mrs. John quietly spoke up, trying to smooth things over. Mrs. John, please don't take offense. My son was just startled by the suddenness of it all. We will talk to him and make him understand. You can go ahead and start the preparations. The two families spoke a little longer, but Jungkook's father remained distant, unwilling to push this matter further. His mother, however, seemed determined. She believed, perhaps stubbornly, that it was for Jungkook's own good. Jungkook went straight home and dropped himself onto the sofa. Moments later, his parents arrived. His mother's eyes landed on him immediately. Jungkook's mom, you could have avoided talking like that in public, she said. Whatever needed to be discussed could have been done at home. Jungkook leaned back, his tone calm but from Jungkook, and you could have just called me from home instead of ambushing me there. You know very well I'm not interested in marriage, yet you keep trying to force me into it. His father stepped in, his voice deep and authoritative. Jungkook said, Jungkook, you are grown now. You can't spend your life alone forever. You need someone by your side. Suzy is a wonderful girl, my friend's daughter. I'm sure she will keep you happy. Jungkook, I already told you that, he replied coldly. I am not getting married. His mother's expression hardened. Jungkook's mom, I told you before, you will marry the girl I choose. If you had fixed yourself earlier, maybe I would not have to push you like this. I'm not asking for your opinion now. I may not feel right to you at the moment, but after marriage, everything will fall into place. Jungkook's jaw tightened. Jungkook, when I say I'm not marrying, I mean it. Without waiting for a response, he turned and headed straight to his room, leaving his parents behind. Mother and father exchanged worried glances, their eyes lingering on his retreating back. They were deeply concerned about his future, unsure how to break the walls he had built around himself. Morning came softly, but Wine woke with a heaviness in her chest. Her body felt weak, her stomach uneasy. She could barely eat a few bites of breakfast before pushing her plate away. She told herself it was normal, at least for this time of her life. Still, it didn't make her fatigue any easier to bear. After a quick shower, she dressed and packed her bag and headed for college. The moment she stepped into the classroom, she noticed something was different. There was a strange buzz in the air, students whispering in the corners, a restless excitement passing between them. At the center of it all were Susie and Somi leaning toward each other, talking in low but emanated voices. Wine didn't bother asking. She walked straight past them and slid into her usual seat at the back. Susie's voice carried anyway. Susie, yes, it's true. My marriage to Jungkook sir has been fixed. I still can't believe it happened so suddenly. Somi gasped. Somi, seriously? Jungkook sir agreed? Susie, of course he agreed. Susie replied with a little smile. At first he was hesitant, but uncle and auntie said he would come around. They told me to start preparing for the wedding. Somi grinned weakly and began teasing her, while Susie's cheeks turned pink. The conversation went on until a professor entered, cutting their chatter short as class began. The day wore on, class after class. By the last period, Jungkook walked in. His expression was unreadable, his lips firm, his eyes not meeting anyone's. He began teaching without so much as glances at the room. From her seat, one saw Susie stealing shy glances at him over and over, a faint blush painting her face. A few students noticed, exchanging looks of suspicion, but no one said a word. Jungkook seemed aware of it all, but his tone stayed cool, his body language rigid. He clearly wanted no part of whatever rumors were brewing. When class finally ended, Jungkook left without hesitation. One quietly packed her bag and ready to go, when a few strange words caught her ear. Somi, you could not take your eyes off your future husband for a second, could you? She teased. Suji, shut up, she whispered, thought her voice was thick with shy pride. He still hasn't really talked to me, but once the wedding happens, I will make sure I win him over. Somi chuckled. Somi, maybe he's just pretending in front of us. Once the date's set, you will see everything will fall into place. Susie smiled, lowering her head, too flustered to reply. The two of them walked together, still giggling. One remained frozen in place. She had heard every word. Her mind could not seem to process it. Jungkook marrying Suji. The thought felt unreal, like some cruel joke. Her chest tightened, her feet heavy as if the ground itself refused to let her move forward. The hallway outside seemed so far away. At last, one made her way slowly to the cafe. She had no desire to work today. The mere thought of exhausted her, so without a second thought she took the day off and walked out. Wandering aimlessly, her steps eventually led her to a quiet park bench. The sight of it pulled at her heart. Memories she had buried deep began to surface. This was where she and Jungkook used to come after work. Back then, the place was almost always empty. It had been their little escape, their private corner of the world, where they could laugh, talk, and simply exist together. Now sitting there alone, the memories of both sweet and unbearably heavy, she thought of the decision she had made to raise the baby on her own, to be both mother and father. The doubts gnawed at her. Could she really do it alone? What if one day the child asked about its father? What would she say? And worst of all, what if Jungkook found out? But Jungkook was getting married now. Everything had slipped beyond her reach. No matter how much she might wish otherwise, nothing could be fixed anymore. Perhaps this was how life had been written for her, an unchangeable script. The weight of it all made her head spin. Her body felt weak, unsteady. She tried to shake it off, but every step felt heavier than the last. Somehow she managed to rise from the bench and start walking again, moving slowly down the road. Her vision blurred. Her limbs felt as though they were made for lead, and then suddenly everything went blank. She collapsed. Within moments, a small crowd began to gather, strangers forming a ring around her fallen body. By sheer chance, Jungkook happens to be passing that way, on his way to attend to some errand. The cluster of people caught his attention, and without hesitation, he ran toward them. Pushing through the onlookers, he froze. Wine. Without a second thought, he dropped to his knees beside her. Jungkook, Wine, Wine, can you hear me? He splashed water onto her face, his voice tight with panic, but she didn't stir. Then something unexpected caught his eyes. Her clothes were layered, concealing her figure, but when he tried to help her sit upright, his hand brushed against her abdomen. He froze. It was Solane. A wave of confusion and dread hit him. His mind spun. What happened to her? Was she ill, injured? Without another second's hesitation, Jungkook scooped her into his arm and rushed toward his car, driving straight to the hospital. Jungkook rushed Wyan to the hospital, his pulse hammering with panic. The moment they arrived, nurses and doctors glanced up, startled by his urgency. Jungkook's voice was trembling as he spoke to the doctor. Jungkook, doctor, I don't know what happened. Suddenly her stomach looked so swollen, and then she just collapsed unconscious. Without wasting a second, the medical staff wheeled Wayne into the emergency room. A few minutes later, a nurse stepped out and called for him. Nurse, the doctor wants to see you and to seriously not know that your wife is pregnant. The word struck Jungkook like a bolt of lightning. Pregnant, one had never mentioned anything about that. His mind was instantly flooded with questions. If she is pregnant, whose child is it? Still reeling, he stepped into the room. Wayne lay there on bed, pale, motionless, still unconscious. The doctor glanced at him and spoke in a calm but firm tone. Doctor, don't worry, she will regain consciousness soon. But in this condition, you should have been taking better care of her. Jungkook's brow furrowed. Jungkook, I don't understand what you're talking about. Hearing that, the doctor's patient visibly thinned. Doctor, you really don't know? Your wife is 7 months pregnant and her pregnancy is high risk, very complicated. We warned her several times about the dangers, but she insisted on keeping the baby. At this stage, she needs constant care. She's been coming here for checkups, but never once has her husband accompanied her. What kind of husband does that? Jungkook felt the ground vanished beneath his feet. Pregnant, 7 months. One had hidden all of this from him. His mind raced. Why didn't she tell me? Why did one suddenly disappear from my life back then? If he was the father, why had she kept him away from every moment of this pregnancy? One thing was certain, he wasn't leaving this place today without every answer.